That's the thing about native pecans. We got all sizes and shapes, which I've been just walking around out here picking them up, and some of these are some really nice sized pecans, you know. They're not grafted, but that's the thing about native pecans. You don't ever know what you're gonna get. And you come to this tree right here, these trees here, these are, I've been running over with a lawnmower because these are like this. They're long and slender compared to them. And they're just...
Look at them on the ground.
Look down here. This tree's already dropped all of its pecans. I mean, they're just laying here by the piles. And I done run over this with a lawnmower and chopped up into how many, but you can see that.
But you had to get it where you could get to it.
Yeah, my pecan picker-upper won't work if you got all that deep grass, and I don't know what I call it possession weed. It's my daddy called it that. It's a pigweed or something. That stuff was in here everywhere. I had no idea the trees had already dropped their pecans. And
the squirrels should have been a clue.
Well, the squirrels hadn't been in this orchard here. I've killed them all coming to it, you know, and the pecan trees that's out in the edges of the woods. But I mean, there's another right here. There. I mean, let me look at it. I guess I stick these in my pocket.
I got a bucket. I guess I could get you a bucket.
Gosh, that joker's hard. That's a hard shell one. I'm
Not a soft shelled, huh?
Trying to get it right against the post of that.
Looks like a pecan. I know they hadn't cured, but...
They haven't cured yet, but, I mean,
they're still good.
Still a good tasting pecan, yeah.
Still moist and stuff, and it's not bitter.
A lot of oil in it. You can tell it's real oily.
We could make some pecan oil, couldn't we?
Yeah.
That is really good.
And they're laying on the ground out. This whole orchard out here has just got pecans. You know, I mean...
We just weren't expecting yet, but I mean, it is late September.
Some of the limbs I walked on, the small trees out there, I didn't know that they even had pecans on them. I walked up to the limbs like this here, and the pecans are there, and the green hulls is already opened up, and the pecans ready to fall out of it. And I was just reaching up there, pulling them out of the hulls, you know. So I didn't realize, you know, that they were this far along. So I've been picking up limbs. I got piles of limbs piled up. Where I'm scapping it to the dirt. And yes, I'm chopping up some of the pecans, but I got to do it because the rest of it hasn't fell yet off the trees.
It'll make picking up a lot easier.
Yeah, a whole lot easier. And then I'm going behind because see, once we cleared all this, I have never come back in here and cleaned up all the little sticks out of here. We just had the cows in here. For 2 years, the cows has just been in here. And last year probably had pecans, I didn't even know it. And this year, last year we set round bales of hay in here with the clover hay. The cows used the bathroom all underneath here and heavy. I mean, it was just muddy. It was a mess under here. So I moved all that out of here. And as a result, all these pecan trees have benefited from all that cow manure and urine and rotted hay and stuff like that was on the ground out here in all these spots. These trees this year just, man, they just blew up. I mean, they have pecans on them all over the place. So I'm a little late in the game, but I've been spending most of my morning out here walking around picking up. And the big tree that's in the front yard over there, I mowed it to the, I scalped that grass, you know. But because those pecans are little bitty ones, but they're the best tasting pecan you'll ever come across. And you can't even find them in the grass if you don't just scalp it down to the ground, you know. Which, it's fall, fixing to be fall. Well, it is fall. The grass is not going to grow much anymore, and I don't like grass anyway, so I just soon scalp it all off anyhow. That way I can see the pecans laying all on the ground. And then when the leaves get on the ground, I can take the blower and come out there and just blow all the leaves off the ground and blow them all out to the side once they all fall. Then I can take the picker up and I can go through there and just pick them up. And The picker thing I got for just walking along with your hand, that thing is so nice. Darn, that's some hard ground.
We ain't had no rain.
This one got bent right here.
We have a few greens coming up. If it's just hot, it needs to cool off.
Yeah.
I mean, they're coming up really good all the way down.
They look good, they just need some moisture.
I think they're going to get that in a couple of days. We got a hurricane going into Florida, so maybe we'll get a touch of water off of it.
We followed people's advice. We did the second fence in 6 feet from the other fence. Didn't stop no deer here from coming in here. So,
the dog monitors did.
The dog monitors what got them. The deer walked in. They didn't eat any greens. They jumped the fence over there. The electric fence is 6 foot from the other one. They just jumped right over it. Didn't think nothing about it. I've got to put 2 more dog monitors in the field here. So I've got them close enough together that anywhere you walk in this field right here, they'll go off. Right now you can go about like a 30 or 40 foot span and nothing will happen. And that's exactly where they were at, was between that 30 and 40 foot span. But as soon as they walked into where the monitor went off, even though it was at the edge of the greens, they tore the ground up and went out of here, you know. So they don't ever come in on this side. But what I'm going to do is I'm moving the electric fence out, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to put 1 strand up here high, just because. I mean, they've never been an issue on this side. They've always came from that side over yonder and come this way. But just in case, I'm going to try it, even though it didn't stop them over there. I'm like, man, you would think electric fence posts would pull up out of the ground. But
not in this hard ground.
Not in this hard soil. It ain't rained here in so long, so.
So your monitor's right here.
Yeah.
And the deer came in from that way. And you can see where they twisted and turned right there and went to running back. Yeah. They got that far before they set it off, got into it.
He came in across over there. You can see there's a monitor here and a monitor way down yonder. And it's way down there. And that's like 1, 2, 3, that's like 4 posts in between them. That's like 15 feet apart. And that's just too far.
So we got one.
I need one middle ways, like right here, in this post right here. Because this is where they were at. They were all out right out in here. And there was nothing out there to go off.
To buffer them.
To buffer them. And when that one walked off over here and got right up here, But they made it to right here, and that one right yonder went off, and they bolted and ran back and went back across there. And jumped now. They jumped back out over those two fences. They say that they won't jump over fences that are 6 feet apart. They went right over them. Thank the Lord.
For shade trees.
For shade trees.
I knew what you was gonna say.
And if a wind would just blow, but no, it is always freaking calm here.
In the future, that might be a good thing.
Well, it reminds me of mid-August when the dog days, you know, when there's no wind, it's just humid, it's hot. And that's what we're in right now. It's just humid, it's hot, no wind. I mean, you look up any a leaf rattling nowhere and a tree nowhere. And I mean, I don't know why every now and then it can't just be a puff or a breeze, you know? This lumber is 20 feet long. And it ain't light. I'm having to devise ways to get it up there.
That's what I was.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I was wondering how you were getting it up there, but I see. Kind of out of breath, aren't you?
Yeah, them boards are so heavy, so when they're 20 feet long. And I'm gonna have a tree in the way on some of these right here, so I'm gonna have to kind of
go around.
Figure around. I always like to put at least 2 up there before I get up there because.
Explain your roof here.
Well, this is a what's called a shed dormer type roof, I feel like we have some issues. One, if I put a gable, which I originally was going to do, that's why you see that 2x8 up there. But I got to thinking, this side right here is the uphill side. And you see how the pine straw is already pouring and piling up against it, right here? If I put a gable on this end, the water's gonna run off and go all shed right here, and then it's gonna go right through the building. And I would rather not have that.
And plus this is the uphill.
This is the uphill side, so.
All the way around.
So I got to thinking, to save me in framing and everything, I took time. I set that log down yonder on that bottom so that I want 10-foot metal. That's exactly 10 feet from the bottom of this board to the top of that 2x6 I'm gonna have up there. That's 10-foot metal. I'm gonna build it kind of like a metal steel building is, because that really is the safest way to build a roof in a hurricane zone. You have no, on the side that the wind comes from your bad hurricanes, you have no overhangs. Up here I will not have an overhang. This will just go up, the metal will go down, and I'll have a cap that'll go across it. And that way when the winds blow against this side here, there's nothing for it to get a hold to begin to peel a roof up off of it. That's the downhill side down yonder. All the water will pour off the back of this thing and run off down the hill back yonder, and should keep us from having any type of erosion problems here or problems with water. Now there's going to always be some problems with water because we're on the hill goes down like this, and I'll always have problems with pine straw and water and everything right here, but not like I would if I had a gable roof right here. I wanted some storage up in the top, but you know, it is what it is. I've got to think about weather and stuff like that. And plus, this is the easiest way to go. Once I get all the lathing on the top of it, and I order my metal will be 20 feet long. One sheet covers a lot fast, and there's no seams in it anywhere. So I'll just shoot it up from the back side back there, put it up on here, get up here. What I usually do when I have to do it by myself is I put a sled off the back down yonder, and I start the metal up it, and I take 2 pairs of vice grips and crimp on the top of the metal with the vice grips turned upside down, and as they go over the lathing, I'll have 2 ropes down here, and I'll pull it, and usually I can just sit here and pull it up, and then I can tie it off, and it won't slide back off the roof down there, and I can get up there, and I can put it on one sheet at a time if I have to. I've done several houses that way by myself, so I'm very familiar with having to do this by myself. So I kind of like the design of it. I like the peeled trees. I like, you know, using old technology because it's just, I want it to look that way. We're not going to put painted metal on this or anything like the shop and the shed and all that is. I got to thinking I want it to look old, so I'm going to use just galvanized, they call it galvalume. I'm going to use the galvalume metal on it to kind of make it look like the old buildings were, because used to you didn't get painted metal. Everything you got was just galvanized. And I want the galvanized look on it. So that's the reason I'm actually going that route on it. I normally do all my layouts before I start putting my rafters on, but I'm trying to save a lot of steps up and down the ladder. Guys, we are in the process of setting the cane mill up on top of the posts here. Me and Mr. Chris have been working on this. We got this nice little contraption that I ordered and got in, where you take these eyelet screws and you screw them on the top of your bolts going through the cane mill here. Chris and I had to put 2 extra long bolts here because the eyelet screw kept hitting right here when we turned it. But I ordered this contraption right here off of Amazon that has 4 chains on it and an eye up here, and we had to kind of wrap it all up in there because I don't have room under here to lift it up the length of the chains were. But guys, this worked perfect to pick this mill up and set it down on here. It's probably the safest way I have found thus far to handle the cane mill. We were originally wrapping a chain or a belt around this here, trying to tote it by this, and it would slip off sometimes. It was kind of dangerous. Then I came up with this idea right here. This has worked perfect. So if you get ready to move one of these mills, this is my suggestion. Buy the eyelets, put them on all 4 corners. You can hook a chain or a strap or anything in it right here. Pick it up, absolutely perfect. But we've got it set here now. I don't have a tape measure, but it should be roughly 26 to 28 inches to right here where you put the cane in at. I'm not going to bolt it just yet. I'm gonna let it sit here for a little while, just in case for some reason I have to move it. I won't have to undo a bunch of bolts to get it up off of here and move it. It'll just be, you know, sitting here. And I do have a cover for it. So we will put the cover on it in case it goes to rain. Wanda and I come up with this idea of using a barbecue grill cover to put over this thing to keep the weather out of it till we get a roof on the building and the walls and stuff like that. Okay, we don't have the roof on this just yet because we have a possible tropical / hurricane maybe coming in here at the end of next week, and I didn't want to have a roof on this and not have the walls around it and have it braced up where it maybe squalls it and leans it or something like that. So we're just going to leave the roof off of it until maybe the week after that. And plus I got to have my heart procedure done and all that. We want to get all that out of the way. Then I got to order the metal. So that's where we're at. Guys, continue to watch us and continue to follow, and we'll show you the rest of the hooking up of the cane mill. Thank you guys from Pecan Grove.